1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Follow the leader.
Oh my God.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
What a difference a true love made in my life. So nice, so right. Loving you gave me something never dreamed of. Something's changed, no, it's not the feeling I had before. Oh, it's much, much more.
So I didn't see this coming. I never know what's coming at the top of the second hour on Mondays and Thursdays when Dr. West shows up. But with all the hell we going through right now, Doc, how did we end up with Love Ballad, man?
Brother, with all the hell and high water we dealing with, we got to get down into the depth of the richness of our culture. We got to get back to the source of our strength. We got to get back to the anchor that sustains us. And therefore, we got to get back to the archives, though, man. That's the only way we're going to fight. It's the only way you come out swinging and sustain your fight. Listen to Jeffrey. Listen to Jeffrey, man.
Well, let's listen. Let's listen, Andy. Let's listen, Andy. Let's listen.
Not there. We said hold me and say
and what we have is much more than they can see.
What we have is much more than they
I love the story of Jeffrey Osborne, in case you don't know, how he became the lead singer. Let that ride, Andy. How he became the lead singer for LTD. First of all, Jeffrey was just a kid when he started playing drums. The OJs come to town one day, and their drummer is on drugs and can't play that night. And Eddie Levert says, I need a drummer. They are in Providence, Rhode Island, where Jeffrey Osborne is from. They need a drummer that night, and Eddie asked somebody for advice on a local drummer. And a bodyguard at the venue where the OJs were playing said there's a kid that hangs out here named Jeffrey who's a pretty good drummer. Eddie said, I don't want no kid, I want a real drummer. We the OJs. And they said, no, this kid's pretty good. And he said, bring me the kid. And the kid was 13, 14 years old. His name was Jeffrey Osborne. And Jeffrey Osborne sat in that night with the OJs and sat in for the second night with the OJs. And that Negro played those drums so well, Eddie Levert asked Jeffrey Osborne's mama, can he please go on tour with us? His mama said, "You've lost your mind. Put down the crack pipe." He's a kid. He ain't going on no tour with the OJs. Fast forward a few years, and Jeffrey Osborne is playing drums for LTD. True story.
That's right.
He's playing drums for LTD. This is a true story. And one day, the lead singer of LTD was on drugs himself. And he didn't show up for the show. And who did they put out front to lead sing? Jeffrey Osborne got off the drums and started lead singing. And the rest, as they say, is history. And every time I see Jeffrey Osborne, every time I see that Negro, I say, Jeffrey, you the only black person I know in history who got 2 gigs because the Negro who's supposed to be there was so out of his mind on drugs that he couldn't show up. That's how he got with the OJs. That's how he got being the drummer for LTD. And that's how he became the lead singer for LTD. And all that stuff is true. And if you don't believe me, when you see Jeffrey Osborne, ask him to tell you. Is Tavis telling the truth? Yeah, I'm telling the truth. That's true story. And so that's how we get to LTD and Love Ballad, man. But think about it, Doc. Think about it, Doc. If Jeffrey had stayed on those drums and the lead singer had never been out of his mind, coked up, Jeffrey wouldn't have got to the microphone ever, and you wouldn't have Love Ballad.
Well, yeah, but see, that's one way of looking at it. But you got to remember this now, Brother Tavis.
Right.
Marvin Gaye started on the drums with Harvey Fuqua's group.
That is true.
And they just heard him sounding so good. Teddy Pendergrass started on the drums with Harry Melvin and the Blue Notes.
That's also true.
He was sounding so good. They wrote when they wrote that song for the Dells, and they said, "Wait a minute, Teddy Bear's voice sounds something like Junior's voice for the Mighty Dells. Let's have him sing Missing You, Losing You." Oh, I see. So I have a feeling the genius of Jeffrey Osborne would have been discovered whether those brothers were flying high in the friendly skies or not. It would have taken a little longer.
Yeah, a little longer.
Taken a little longer. That's all.
Yeah, no,
definitely. But we got to give it up. We got to give it up for Skip Scarborough, who wrote the song.
Absolutely,
you know, it's a beautiful song.
Absolutely.
Aretha says it's one of her favorite songs of all time,
She
and
did
I
say
can
that.
agree.
That's right.
Very much. Why? Because that love is the only thing that constitutes the firmest anchor for us to be the kind of love warriors that Sister Connie Rice is calling for.
Yeah.
You can't be a long-distance runner if you don't have that kind of rootage and immersion in the culture that has to do with the humanity and the dignity of the people you're willing to live and die for. That's what we need right now more than ever. And remember now, Jeffrey's father was who? Clarence. Who was Clarence? Played trumpet for Count Basie.
That's right.
And Duke Ellington and Lionel Hampton. So he had a family of what? Being ready, staying ready.
That's it.
When it's time to hit.
No, if you
when you get called.
That's it. No, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. And when the OJ showed up and needed a drummer, 14-year-old Jeffrey Osborne was ready to go.
He's ready to go.
Yeah, I'm laughing also because I'm thinking about all the great artists that I've known and know, and the Doc has known and know, who again, but for some particular moment might not have ever come forward. You also know that they told George Benson, just play the guitar. You can't sing. They told George Benson, don't sing, man. You can't sing. Just play the guitar. Can you imagine all the George Benson hits on the soundtrack of your life that you would never have heard if George had followed somebody's advice to just shut up and play the guitar, Negro? You can't sing. I digress on that for now.
But that's a crucial lesson for our audience. Don't do what you are called to do based on what other people are saying about you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's it. That's it. So Doc was talking about that Connie Rice conversation in the first hour and being love warriors. And I raised the issue with Connie that I now want to raise with Cornel West when we come forward. What do we do when ain't nobody playing by the rules? When we've gotten to a point where there are no principles at play? The DNC chair, Ken Martin, just said moments ago, breaking news, and I quote, "I'm sick and tired of this Democratic Party bringing a pencil to a knife fight. We cannot be the only party that plays by the rules anymore." That's Ken Martin. We cannot be the only party that plays by the rules anymore. But what happens when ain't nobody playing by the rules? Cornel West when we come forward.
BET and PBS, the Tom Joyner Morning Show, and NPR, the cover of Jet and the cover of Time. #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list, 20 honorary doctorate degrees, a dozen NAACP Image Awards, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. From talk shows to talk radio, nobody's ever done it better. You like that? This is Tavis Smiley.
Do Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keep coming back? Tremfya, guselkumab, may help, with rapid remission achieved at 12 weeks and lasting clinical remission at 1 year. Some even saw visible improvement of their intestinal lining at 12 weeks and 1 year. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active Crohn's disease and adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Healing is possible with Tremfya. Approximately 3 out of 10 patients were in endoscopic remission at 1 year, based on areas visualized on colonoscopy, which may not represent the deeper bowel layer or entire GI tract. Individual results may vary. Ask your doctor about Tremfya today. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more or visit tremfyaradio.com.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Are you ready to be a part of the conversation that will help shape our nation's future? Get ready to join us for the Left Coast Forum, Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech, where progressive voices will come together to tackle the issues that matter most to working families across Los Angeles and beyond. From economic justice to climate action, from healthcare to housing, we're bringing together the brightest minds and most passionate advocates for real solutions and real change. With workshops, 2 major keynote addresses, and a closing reception with great music and good food. It's the Left Coast Forum, where your voice matters and your ideas take action. Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the LA Progressive. The future won't wait, and neither should you. Mark your calendar now to be there and be heard. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details.
And the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
You would think after 35 plus years of friendship and brotherhood, I would know better than to doubt Cornel West. But when I heard Love Ballad, I didn't know how this nigga was going to weave that in today. But I am looking at all the messages, Doc, that are coming in on social media right now. And they love your choice today. They love your selection of Love Ballad today. So you picked the winner, man. Everybody's responding to how much they love Love Ballad by LTD. All right, let me jump in and make the most of the time we have left here. So you heard me quote Ken Martin a moment ago. And we quoted again for those who may have just tuned in the last 5 minutes. I'm sick and tired of this Democratic Party bringing a pencil to a knife fight. Let me pause for a second. You heard Connie Rice in the first hour say, this ain't no pillow fight. So Ken Martin's picking up on that and saying he's tired of Democrats being a pencil to a knife fight. We cannot, I am quoting again from the chair of the Democratic Party, Ken Martin, we cannot be the only party that plays by the rules anymore. We've got to stand up and fight, close quote. The question I raised in the first hour, I now raise to Dr. West, and who better to raise this question with than a brother who is a philosophy major from Harvard, which is fascinating because Doc never really, he hadn't really taught philosophy a lot, but that's his major, one of his majors. And so who better than this philosopher to ask about this? What happens to a nation that calls itself a democracy, Doc, when ain't nobody playing by the rules and all the principles have been thrown out the window?
Well, the thing is, Brother Tavis, you cannot be a democracy if you are organized in such a way that you worship the golden calf. And the history of the country, of course, for black folk for 400 years, there's been no moral rules applied to us. The mainstream rules applied to somebody else. But the fundamental worship was the worship of the golden calf. That's what it is. And when you worship the golden calf, what do? Well, you take the golden rule and transform it into he who has the gold
makes the rules. Yeah.
And makes the rules and shapes the rules and creates the rules and then tries to convince folk who have the rules imposed upon us somehow we are the villains. We are the criminals. You say, well, see, this is how sick and pathological and pathetic America has been at its worst, though, brother. And because we've been on the underside, we've been the bottom of the well, as the great Derek Bell put it. We can see it for what it is. But when we go back to Love Ballad, when we go back to our music, when we go back to the golden rule understood as do unto others and do and have others to do unto you, so we draw a strong distinction between worshiping something bigger than ourselves that has to do with goodness and grace as opposed to worshiping something that just has more money than ourselves that has to do with gold and power and domination and transaction. That's where we are now. And the dominance and the power and Trumpism ain't nothing but just a sign and symptom of the decadence and the decrepitude of so much in the culture. When they look at Trump, they see nothing but manipulation because that's how so many Americans want to be. They don't care about morality. They don't care about spirituality. All they want is power. All they want is status. That's how spiritually sick the country is, the empire is. And you can't just sit back and see the mass incarceration of brothers for the last 45 years and think that's normal, or see a genocide in Gaza and can't raise a voice and think that's normal. No, that's spiritual callousness, brother. That's spiritual wickedness in high places, middle places, and other places. And when you listen to Jeffrey Osborne, brother, Lord have mercy, that's Skip Scarborough, who wrote "Giving You the Best That I Got" for Anita Baker, right? He wrote "Lovely Day." He wrote "Lovely Day" with our dear brother Bill Withers.
Bill Withers,
right?
yeah.
Yes, that's a tradition that says, look, we are defeated at the moment, but our defeat at the moment is still so much more profound than gangsterism and thuggishness that is triumphant at the moment. But God is not mocked. You're going to reap what you sow. Sooner or later, you're going to have to deal with what you've done.
There's that root word thug, once again. Cornel West uses the word thuggishness. Connie Rice in the first hour called it a thugocracy. Whatever one calls it, we are in the midst of a power grab. I come back to this point that Dr. West puts his finger on just a moment ago. How concerned are you for the future of the democracy when what we are experiencing now in a way we have never seen is an absolute power grab? Power is always at work, and Frederick Douglass said it. Frederick Douglass famously said, "Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has, and it never will." That's true for Democrats and Republicans. But what say you about the future of the country when we see ourselves right now in what is clearly a naked grab for power?
Yeah, no, but that's been, operative from the very beginning. It's just more intensified, though, brother.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We call it fascism by other names. When they killed Fred Hampton, that was fascism, though, brother. Let's be very honest about it. When they arrested Brother Smiley, that was fascism. When they went into the house of Bolton, we don't know what the evidence is, but it looks like some kind of violation of some kind of law, even though he himself's a war criminal in his own past.
Yeah.
We are reaching the point now where even talk about democracy is a past tense.
Mm-hmm.
Past tense is more a memory of the democracy, of what it used to be. And even what it used to be was so truncated, so it wasn't a golden age, but it was still so much better than the thuggery and the gangsterization that we have now. But the good news is, though, brother, de-gangsterization is always a possibility. That's why the music lives. That's why the love can never be defeated. And that's why the black freedom struggle, or any human freedom struggle, no matter how weak and feeble at the moment, can never be completely eliminated and erased from the face of the earth.
Yeah. You mentioned John Bolton. And I've got a clip here. I'm looking at it. I'm not sure I want to play this. It's almost 2 minutes long. I don't want to cut 2 minutes into the 6 minutes I have left with Cornel West. I think I can do without playing.
You work it any way you want.
No.
I love the way you work it any way you want.
No, I think I can work this without necessarily playing the clip. But J.D. Vance was on Meet the Press with Kristen Welker yesterday, talking about this raid of John Bolton's house. And I don't want to give J.D. Vance 2 minutes of my time, frankly. But here's my point, though. Here's my point. And my point really is the point that Cornel West just made, and I want to just underscore this for the audience. The read on the J.D. Vance interview on Meet the Press yesterday, and the question that Kristen Welker asked, that others are now raising, is whether or not this is retribution. So Donald Trump can't stand John Bolton because John Bolton used to work for Donald Trump, and since working for him, he's been utterly critical of Donald Trump. And Donald Trump doesn't like anybody being critical of him, much less somebody who used to work for him. Again, John Bolton has just gone in on Donald Trump. And so the read on this interview from yesterday and the read on what Donald Trump, the narrative, I should say, on what Donald Trump has done is to go into John Bolton's house looking for something, but basically it's about retribution, and that is the question that Kristen Welker asked J.D. Vance to respond yesterday. He, of course, denied it was retribution, and he went on to say whatever he was going to say. But here's my point. Only Cornel West on Tavis Smiley, in this iteration of Smiley and West, brings up a different point, and I hope y'all didn't miss that. The narrative is that Donald Trump is wrong to be breaking into people's houses, going into people's houses, looking for something when everybody knows it's about retribution because he don't like John Bolton. But Cornel West just told you that you can read it that way. But the other way to read it is that John Bolton himself is a war criminal. And so how sorry should we feel for Donald Trump going into Bolton's house? Here's my point. I don't want you to buy into this prima facie argument that John Bolton got mistreated without putting into full context who John Bolton is. And that's what I thought I heard you just saying, Cornel West.
No, you're absolutely right. And I mentioned some black political prisoners and some folk who were murdered by the Chicago police and by the FBI, and those various targetings were forms of fascism. Now, I do have a concern about people's rights no matter who they are.
Sure.
And so Bolton being a war criminal, if his rights are being violated, then that's still wrong. But there is a chance that, when Bolton wrote his book, he supposedly used some classified information. Mm-hmm. And the right-wing Trumpites have been saying that right-wing information is located in his house. And if it is in his house, that is a crime. And so that's why I said we have to just wait and see.
Yeah, but Doc,
but it's still wrong. It's still wrong.
It'd be wrong, but let's just take the next step. Who is Donald Trump to be going to somebody's house to get some classified documents? When he had classified documents at Mar-a-Lago sitting in his bathroom, sitting in his garage. I mean, the nerve of Donald Trump and this administration to go looking for classified. Don't get me started, Dr. West.
No, you're absolutely right, though, brother. But the thing is, the law doesn't stop just because the gangster and the thug takes over, though. That is to say that the law still persists, but there's no moral authority. But because there's absolutely no moral authority, no spiritual authority, it's all just gangsterism and thugification taking place, then is that all we have to work with? Well, no, that cannot be all we have to work with. Not at all. If we reach the point where that's all that politics is, that's all that human history is, and in the end, that's all that life is, then we all need to go to the crack house and break dance, you see. But no, we believe morality and spirituality still has a crucial role to play, no matter how weak and feeble it is manifest at the moment.
No, I'm with you on that. I close on this note, the 2 minutes I have left, and I yield the balance of my time, as they say, to Cornel West. But this is what I'm looking at, and this is what I said to Connie in the first hour. What I see is wanton hubris on display. Wanton hubris on display, combined with a grab for power. And I don't think that's the way to save this democracy, Doc. That's my point.
Oh, no, I'm with you 100%. I'm with you 100%. But, I mean, when we're talking about saving democracy, that's such a complicated process because you got to deal with the first major casualty, which is truth itself.
That's right. You
got to start by just telling the truth. That's why when Democrats talk about we've been a party that follow the rules. No, you all been rigging your own elections in various states, too. You've been tied to the same goal, be it Fort Knox, be it the gold rush in California. You've been tied to the same subjugations, too. Be truthful about yourself.
Yeah.
Go back to the archives of the black musical tradition that is elegant and eloquent and concerned about truth-telling and suffering disclosing with style and with a smile. That's what we talk about on Tavis Smiley Show.
Yeah, well, I'm always honored to be in dialogue with Cornel West on Mondays and Thursdays. I never know where it's going to go. I just ride with it. I just get on the wave and ride. Never know what's going to come out, but it's always something brilliant. Cornel West, every Monday and Thursday, top of the second hour. Love you, Doc. Stay strong. We'll talk soon. When we come forward, a conversation with Jesse Jackson Jr. about 2032 and how it is possible that there won't be any more black folk in Congress. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. President Trump is threatening to send troops to Baltimore, calling Black Governor Westmore's crime record very bad. Moore fired back.
It would be great if the president would actually come and spend time and learn about what we are doing instead of just throwing jabs at me and jabs at the city of Baltimore.
Governor Moore says Baltimore is seeing a resurgence and that real progress is being made by people on the ground. A tragic hit and run on I-75 in Marietta, Georgia leaves 36-year-old Terrell Loudermilk, a black truck driver from Tennessee, dead. Former police lieutenant Christopher Bradshaw, who is white, has been arrested and charged with homicide by vehicle and hit and run. And Quentin Brown, father of NBA star of the Boston Celtics, Jaylen Brown, was arrested for attempted murder after allegedly stabbing youth coach Cross Tupuola during a parking dispute in Las Vegas. Tupuola remains in critical condition. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
On the southbound side of the 5, before you get to the 405, we still have the far right lane closed because of this earlier truck fire. Traffic on the South 5 jammed back through the Newhall Pass. The southbound 14 slow from Via Princesa. That's still a little bit better than it was before. And in Riverside, a crash on the right shoulder, 215 northbound before Central. That's got traffic slow back from Cactus Avenue.
This season, San Diego's playing at home, and you are on the roster. Don't miss the Padres, Wave FC, San Diego FC, and the Blue Angels at the Miramar Air Show. Plan your trip now at sandiego.org/awesome all year. Funded in part with City of San Diego Tourism Marketing District Assessment Funds.
Is this the This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers hit 4 home runs Sunday to crush San Diego 8-2. Freddie Freeman went deep twice. Shohei Ohtani and Ricky Dalton Rushing had the other 2. Mookie Betts also had a good day at the plate with 3 hits. Betts is batting .348 since August 5th. Sunday's win left the Dodgers and Padres tied for first place in the NL West with 31 games left in the regular season. The Angels were swept at home by the Chicago Cubs. They lost 4-3 to the Cubs on Sunday. The slumping Angels are now 8 games under .500 and start a 10-game road trip tonight at Texas. One of the top performances from the first weekend of the college football season was by an HBCU running back. North Carolina Central's Chris Mosley, a senior from Fort Worth, Texas, had 174 yards rushing and a touchdown on just 15 carries. Mosley helped North Carolina Central beat Southern University 31-14 in the MEAC SWAC Challenge in Atlanta. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
If you're not following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Got your black.
Follow the leader.
Following the leader.
Oh my God. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish. Minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card, so let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dominique DePrima from the show First Things First, weekday mornings from 6 to 9. Join me tomorrow with jazz trumpeter Keon Harold. Plus, we'll have headlines, hot topics, and your phone calls. It's only on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. Every girl deserves a chance to shine. That's the belief behind Forgiving for Living, Inc. Since 1999, this organization has been empowering at-risk girls ages 13 to 18, helping them overcome behavioral and mental health challenges. Founder Wendy Gladney's personal journey inspired the mission to give girls hope and purpose through the power of forgiveness. Through their ambassador program, workshops, and annual conference, Forgiving for Living has touched over 3,000 young lives, providing mentoring, life skills, training, and tools for building self-esteem and confidence. You can make a difference. Visit forgivingforliving.org to donate, volunteer, become a mentor, or find help for a young girl in need. Forgiving for Living, Inc., building brighter futures for young girls. Visit forgivingforliving.org today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and former Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr., now my radio colleague, hosting a fine program, the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, every day on my home station here in L.A., KBLA Talk 1580. People all across the country are tapping in to Jesse Jackson Jr.'s brilliant show every day, and I'm honored to be his colleague on this station. Before I get him on the line and pull him up right quick, I was in Chicago last week, as I said in the first hour. I was actually back home with my mother, my precious mother, comforting her over the loss of her husband, and at the same time celebrating her 80th birthday. It was a wonderful time with my mom, and jumped in the car one day, went over to Chicago to handle some business, and took her with me. And while there, I saw my friend Jesse Jackson Jr., and we together went to visit with his father, the Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr., and it was an emotional visit, but I had a chance to thank Reverend Jackson just one more again for his love and service to this country and certainly to his people. And I said to him that the greatest compliment that I can ever give to Reverend Jackson is that he loves his people. Jesse Jackson Sr. loves black people, and has shown that in so many ways. And so it was just a blessing. And I thank Jesse Jackson Jr. for taking me to spend some private time with his father. Also, while there, I went and saw Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago. We'll talk about that later in this conversation with Jesse Jackson Jr. But I mentioned a moment ago when Cornel West was on, some breaking news. The Democratic National Committee Chair, Ken Martin, has said a little while ago, and I quote, "I'm sick and tired of this Democratic Party bringing a pencil to a knife fight. We cannot be the only party that plays by the rules anymore. We got to stand up and fight," close quote. So, Jesse, we've been talking to Connie Rice and Cornel West for the better part of this show so far, an hour and a half already, about, broadly speaking, what happens when you have two parties and ain't nobody playing by the rules, and there are no principles. I understand what Gavin's doing here in California to respond to Texas, but when ain't nobody playing by the rules and all the principles have been thrown out the window, we'll get to 2032 in just a second. But just give me your opening salvo on what it means when you see this, as I said earlier, sort of naked power grab.
First of all, Tavis, let me thank you for having me on your program this morning. My father absolutely loves you, and he opened his eyes for the first time in a few days just to lay eyes on you when he heard your voice. And so I want to thank you for spending that precious time with him. Secondly, I'm still trying to recover from the Jeffrey Osborne story.
It's a true story, man. It's a true story. I tease Jeffrey all the time when I see him. Say, "Negro, you owe your career to two drug users." That's the bottom line, man.
And I want to thank, and I really enjoyed Connie Rice. On to the seriousness of the hour. In first Reconstruction, Tavis, some history actually emerges here that matters to our disposition as black people right now. In first Reconstruction, which really can be measured from the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments around 1870 until the Tilden-Hayes Compromise of 1877, 16 black men made it to Congress.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, the Tilden-Hayes Compromise, Plessy versus Ferguson in 1896. The end result of that process in 1901, George White from North Carolina's Black District, when he left Congress in 1901, he delivered a speech called Phoenix Light. And in that speech, he said, this is probably the Negro's temporary departure from the Congress of the United States. But he wasn't just talking about our temporary departure from Congress. He was talking about the temporary departure of more than 600 black legislators in the state houses of our nation that draw these congressional districts that give us a chance to serve.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me explain that to you. If George White's the last African American in Congress in 1901, he's a Republican. Out of loyalty to Abraham Lincoln, the newly freedmen were called Lincoln Republicans. As part of the Tilden-Hayes Compromise of 1876, that electoral college dispute, the Lincoln Republicans, without the late president's leadership, agreed to withdraw federal protection That is, withdraw the Voting Rights Act, withdraw Supreme Court decision, withdraw our majority-minority districts. Once they made that agreement, Democrats and the Lincoln Republicans, to take the pressure off of the Southern Democratic Party, the result was an unprecedented era of terror for black male voters that was guaranteed by the 15th Amendment to the Constitution. Out of loyalty to the party of Lincoln, I believe that if we take that into account and we consider that Martin Luther King's father was a Lincoln Republican, out of loyalty, blacks remained loyal to a party, that is the Republican Party, that took our federal protection away. Now, I get it. Donald Trump is coming after us. I get it. Texas and Abbott. I get it. I heard Connie Rice, and she was very succinct and very clear on that. I get it. But here's the problem. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 was passed to hold white Democrats in the Texas legislature, white Democrats in the California legislature, white Democrats in the Illinois legislature, and white Democrats from Virginia around the Texas to the Voting Rights Act, because both Democrats and Republicans discriminated against black people. So when black people lose the federal protection, i.e., Trump wants to end mail-in voter. He wants to end same-day on-site voter registration. He wants to undermine the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And the court in this term will strike it down. They are going to strike down Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. I am more convinced than ever that while we are so loyal to the Democrats, and I get it, we're not holding Gavin Newsom and other Democrats to, but what about the Voting Rights Act? I get it. We have to fight Trump in this hour. I get it. And Trump is awful. I get it. But what about us? Because it's Democrats and Republicans when they get to the state house that cut up districts for Democrats and Republicans, and they never consider black people. And that's how we went from 16 blacks in first Reconstruction to 0 blacks in 1901. And as sure as I'm sitting here, when the court strikes down the Voting Rights of 1965, we could end up after the census in 2030 with absolutely no Negroes in Congress. I'm putting my money on that one. Now, that's where, and we have 62 today.
Yeah.
That's how serious it is. So at some point in time, after Gavin Newsom and Pritzker and all of these guys start fighting the Republicans, don't forget we have to hold Democrats accountable, because Democrats and Republicans, when they get in these state legislatures by themselves, they cut us out and they draw white districts for themselves.
This is why I love sitting in this chair. And I love the opportunity to talk to people who are a whole lot smarter than I am. And I love that these guys are all my friends and my colleagues, because they, again, help me see things that I otherwise would not be aware of. And I hope that they're doing the same thing for you as you listen to this program every single day. So what Jesse Jackson Jr. has just laid out begs the obvious question. When we come forward, I will put it to him. How then, in this moment, do we, when Gavin and Abbott and Pritzker and all these guys stop fighting, when they stop the power grab, how do we then hold them accountable so that in 2032 we don't go from 62 to 0 members of Congress, as happened historically, given the brilliant lesson that he laid out for us just a moment ago? How do we make sure that doesn't happen again? And don't tell me you don't believe it can happen again. Look at where we are right now in the Trump era. He's undoing everything that we thought was sacred. So what Jesse Jr. is laying out could, in fact, happen again come 2032, where there'll be no black folk in Congress. His challenge to us is to hold the Democratic Party accountable to make sure that doesn't happen. But how do we hold them accountable? That's the question for Jesse Jackson Jr. when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
From California to the Carolinas, everybody's listening to Tavis. More when we come forward.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Hi, I'm LA City Councilmember Curran Price, inviting you to the 30th anniversary of the Central Avenue Jazz Festival, Saturday, September the 20th, from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. We've got 4 pavilions, 3 stages of live music, plus food, fun, and a marketplace all along historic Central Avenue between MLK Boulevard and Vernon Ave. Our featured acts this year are Gregory Porter, Pancho Sanchez, and Jasmine Horn at the 30th anniversary of the Central Avenue Jazz Festival, Saturday, September 20th, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. along Central Avenue between MLK Boulevard and Vernon Avenue. Come out and bring the whole family because this legendary celebration is free. For more information, go to centralavjazzfest.com. I'm LA Councilmember Curran Price, and I absolutely approve this message.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Less monologue, more dialogue. Tavis Smiley continues right now.
It does indeed with Jesse Jackson Jr., a former congressman, almost 20 years in Congress, now my colleague here on Talk Radio. Delighted to be in conversation with him. All right, Jesse, in these 3 minutes before I go to the our final moments together, tell me how it is that black people hold Democrats in particular accountable so that we don't go a second time from 16 to 0 in Congress, and this time around from 62 to 0 come 2032. How do we hold Democrats accountable?
One of the great tragedies of our Constitution is this. There is no fundamental constitutional right to vote in the U.S. Constitution. The right to vote in America is a state right. That's why each of these 50 states have different, separate, and unequal systems. And it's a tragedy in a nation as well-developed as ours that we can go into LaGuardia or LAX or O'Hare Airport. We go through the same TSA. Not one bottle of water can make it on a flight in America, but we can't guarantee the right to vote in every state. We turned TSA and security after 9/11 over to the federal government to ensure that the entire system would be uniform. The right to vote should be uniform as well. Now, how do we hold Democrats accountable in my last 1 minute? Since the system is separate and unequal, and since Abbott is playing with the Voting Rights Act in Texas to eliminate Miss Crockett and to eliminate Al Green, and he's playing games, what Gavin Newsom can also do is fight for a Voting Rights Act in the state of California to ensure that Maxine and Carmelaga Dove and everyone else's district from San Francisco, the Hispanic districts, are protected under their state Voting Rights Act, even as he seeks to redraw his state. We brought this to the attention of Governor Pritzker in Illinois, and he pumped the brakes on his efforts to redraw the state of Illinois because he hadn't quite fully understood that to redraw the state of Illinois is to redraw the 1st congressional district, the 2nd, the 7th, the 4th congressional districts here in Illinois, which are hard fought for Voting Rights Act districts. And I just want to add this one last thing, which my father would say, Tavis, if he were on this program. It's not the shape of these districts that matters. We are not to be faulted that there is a Hispanic side of LA, that there's a black side of Chicago. That's called racial segregation in housing. That's how our communities ended up that way. So drawing lines in such a way as to give us representatives in Congress and in the state legislatures, democracy is a function of representation. It is not a function of the shape of a congressional district.
Our remaining moments with Jesse Jackson Jr. when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good. Yeah, man. Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
It's never too early to start talking about money in realistic ways with your kids. JP Morgan Chase navigates how to educate your kids now about creating long-lasting, healthy money habits. Whether your kids are in elementary school, high school, or college, now is a great time to start a conversation about ways to create healthy money habits as they grow, ultimately benefiting their financial future. Talking about money in a realistic way to support your kids' lifestyle and dreams, your first banking account geared towards high school or college. It's never too early. Explaining the basics, what you earn and what you spend, building financial confidence starts with getting organized. Learning and practicing vital money skills now will stay with them for life. Tools they will have to stay on top of their finances and achieve their goals. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
Why'd I go to the doctor? My heart would race just taking my son to practice. It didn't feel right. So I got checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do you do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
More honesty than you can handle. More empowerment than you can imagine. You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
As you well know, Jesse Jackson Jr. was a member of Congress from Chicago for almost 20 years, and maybe again, we ain't going to talk about that right now, but I've been reading all these stories that were he to announce that he wants to return to Congress, he is the front runner in this congressional district that he once represented in Congress. So he may be in Congress again, but for now he's my colleague, and I couldn't be more grateful for that. But he's in Chicago, and Donald Trump is talking about Chicago as the next city with a black mayor that he may target. Take a listen.
I really am honored that the National Guard has done such an incredible job working with the police, and we haven't had to bring in the regular military, which we're willing to do. We have to. And after we do this, we'll go to another location and we'll make it safe also. We're going to make our country very safe. We're going to make our cities very, very safe. Chicago's a mess. You have an incompetent mayor, grossly incompetent. And we'll straighten that one out probably next. That'll be our next one after this. And it won't even be tough. And the people in Chicago, Mr. Vice President, are screaming for us to come. They're wearing red hats, just like this one, but they're wearing red hats. African-American ladies, beautiful ladies, are saying, please, President Trump, come to Chicago. Please. I did great with the black vote, as you know, and they want something to happen.
As you know, Jesse Jr., when I was in Chicago last week, I saw your dad spend some time with Brandon Johnson. We had a laugh about, private laugh, about Trump calling him incompetent. But I didn't see no Negroes wearing red or any other color when I was there last week begging for Donald Trump to send National Guard troops to Chicago. Did I miss something?
No, it's a very, very small number of people playing that little game in town, and the consequences of it is to unleash hell fury on all black folk who don't agree with them politically. So that's basically what's going on right here, and it's really, really sad. It's really unfortunate. And the best thing I can do for our people here in the city of Chicago is tell them this. Remember, the National Guard are our neighbors. They're our doctors. They're lawyers. They are working, civilian, ordinary citizens who are called into service by a governor or they're called into service by a president. The truth of the matter is they don't even want to be there. I've learned that from the LA example. They don't even want to be there. The brothers and sisters being called to serve in Washington, D.C. right now, they don't even want to be there. So be kind to them, be respectful to them. Let these liberal folks try and confront them because they think they're doing something. And let us go about providing them with some donuts and some coffee so they can get on out of here. They don't want to be here. And so if we treat them like our neighbors, we'll be just fine. But there's some antagonists and some agent provocateurs who could very well get their asses kicked real good playing around with that National Guard. And I would discourage people from even provoking them.
Yep. Jesse Jackson Jr., former member of Congress, almost 20 years. Again, grateful to have him as a colleague here. And if you've been following politics in Chicago, there are all kinds of polls and surveys and studies which suggest, once again, that if he decides that he wants to return to Congress, he is going to be a formidable candidate in the seat that he once held. We will wait and see how all this shakes out. But in the meantime, I call him friend, I call him brother, I call him colleague, and I couldn't be happier about it. Jesse Jackson Jr., thank you always for your insights. Nobody takes us down this lane of history to help us understand where we are today better than you, and I appreciate you, my friend.
Tavis, thank you for the platform. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for your courage and integrity and standing up for our people.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, wrongly deported to El Salvador earlier this year, has reported to an ICE field office in Baltimore. He addressed supporters through a translator.
Continue to pray, continue to fight, resist, and love, not just for me, but for everybody.
His lawyers say Trump officials